Hi, it's Rich Toronto with TMC. Thanks for watching. We're at ITEXPO Fort Lauderdale 2016, and Reg Harnage is with us. He's with Gray Castle Security, and Reg, welcome to the show. How are you?
It's great to be here. I'm good. Thank you.
Good. So tell me a little bit about the company. I mean, you've got security in the name, so in theory,
We sell vending machines. So we are a cybersecurity pure play consulting company. I say it that way because there are very few of us out there. Maybe 10 nationally that focus exclusively on cybersecurity and exclusively on consulting. So we don't sell hardware or software, and really we're a risk management company for our clients.
So tell me a little bit more about risk management. What is that in terms of, so the viewers know what a firewall is, they know what antivirus software is, they may know some other more sophisticated types of products, but how do you differentiate?
Sure. So we really answer three critical questions for our clients. One is, what should I be doing in cybersecurity? If you look at most organizations, they're probably doing something, and whether it's firewalls or other technology, the question is, where do I start, and what are the right things to be doing? The second is, in what order should I be doing those things? So through the risk management process, we can prioritize an organization's security efforts based on their risks, their assets, their tolerance, a lot of other things. And then the third, and a question that's often overlooked in security, is, am I doing enough? And so if we look at the average organization today, again, they're doing something in cybersecurity, but when their CEO comes into the information security officer's office and asks, are we more secure this year than we were last year? Or I just read a headline, are we vulnerable to that? Or the bunches of questions that we get. It's very difficult to answer any one of those without a solid risk management function. So that's really at the core of what we do. We offer about 5 other services, including penetration testing, awareness and education is a big part of our business, incident response, of course, vulnerability management, and then we offer general cybersecurity consulting, really in any one of the domains, mobility, virtualization, VoIP, those kinds of things.
So when you talk about the education, how does that work exactly?
So 2 components to awareness and education. So many companies are doing training today, not enough, but their training is not effective. And so what we look at is learning sciences, cognitive biases, and we put together an education program, which is everything from in-classroom instructor-led sessions to videos, to games, to online learning modules, to posters, to events, to all sorts of things. And we try to figure out who are our audiences and how do we best get to them and change their behaviors. And then we have a whole suite of testing services too. So think of online quizzes. We do social engineering testing, so phishing, dropping flash drives. And then we take all that data from the tests, push it back into the awareness and education program to figure out, well, how do we tweak the program so that it's more effective? And that's about 25% of our business.
Fantastic. So in terms of your typical customer, is there an industry that is bigger than others, or is there a size of company?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, healthcare and higher ed is about 50% of our business today. It tends to be the medium to larger organizations that understand that they've got compliance pressure, they've got cybersecurity risks, they have budgets, and maybe even someone that's responsible for dealing with these things. The other 50% is really made up of retail, critical infrastructure like utilities, and then a smattering of other markets as well.
So what is your sense out of the companies that have to deal with compliance, whether it's something like the SEC or PCI or HIPAA or even FINRA requirements? What percentage, just a ballpark of companies do you think are actually compliant, really compliant the way they should be?
I've never seen one.
Yeah, that was my sense.
I think it's a very, very low percentage.
My sense is that's about right.
The good and bad of that, though, is that the compliance requirements, they are motivating in ways, right? Certainly in healthcare, we've seen a dramatic increase in the activity, the cybersecurity activity in healthcare. The problem is that the legislation can be a distraction. If it's not truly helping them secure their assets, that's the point of the whole thing anyway, then these mandates can really be a problem, because now you got to deal not just with hackers, but now you got to deal with auditors and regulators, and they're just as scary.
That's a challenge, right? If almost no company is really adhering, though, it's a big problem.
Well, it's a challenge in that as a CEO or an ISO of a healthcare organization, a financial services firm, is that now you've got to balance regulatory risk with cybersecurity risk, right? And they're both scary, like I said, and so I think focusing on risk management handles both of those issues because they're both risks. If you can quantify in some way who is a bigger deal to you, then your cybersecurity program is still going to be effective.
Sure. Now, there's a big problem right now with international hacking, China, Russia, stealing myriad trade secrets from companies in this country, and a lot of the companies don't know how to protect themselves. They know it's a problem, they just don't know what to do. What are your thoughts on, or what do you tell a company that's got some innovative something that they need to protect from international thieves?
They speculate that the vast majority of China's GDP is based on stealing intellectual property and bringing those products to market cheaper, faster, et cetera. And I think for organizations where intellectual property is your crown jewel, whether it's blueprints for a nuclear sub or it's some new chemical that makes tires wear longer, you have to understand what's important to your business, right? So if you're a retailer, it's credit card information. Most businesses have a bank account, so money, intellectual property, PHI, patient information. So one of the first steps is understanding, well, what is it that I need to protect? I think that's often overlooked is that most organizations are just out applying cybersecurity wholesale and not thinking about, well, what is more critical to me than others? Intellectual property, I think, is misunderstood. Like, what's the value of that? I'm not sure I have a great formula for those things, but certainly if you look at what certainly Russia and China have done in terms of stealing intellectual property and monetizing those plans and blueprints, it's a massive number. I don't know what it is, but I know it's big.
Now, can you have a cybersecurity company without frequent education of your employees?
I think today we could argue that the greatest risk to any organization is their people. Because if you think about all security controls, most of them can be circumvented by a motivated or halfway intelligent human being. And I think one of the problems is that this is a psychology and a sociology issue, not a security issue. And so when you have security people trying to solve psychological problems, it doesn't work out so well. So I think this problem is here to stay, at least for the near term. And if you look at the vast majority of the breaches, from Sony to Target to RSA to PF Chang, Dairy Queen, the list goes on, every single one of them started with the failure of a human being. Somebody clicking on a link, opening an attachment, going to an infected website, holding the smoking door for a stranger. It's human beings that really pose the greatest risk to organizations today.
Now, is cybersecurity an IT issue or is it a business issue?
I'm not sure why it started or why we have this correlation of IT to security, because technology truly is less than a third of a good cybersecurity program. And by the way, that traditional thinking is one of the problems that we face. One of the challenges and hurdles that we need to overcome right now is that it's really about people and process. If I think about the organizations that we have been in and assessing and doing risk assessments for, if you look at the findings report for these organizations, 80% of it is people and process. They've got racks and racks of technology. The question is it working? Is it doing what you intended it to do? Are people circumventing it? Do you have a process for keeping it updated and configured? Really, most of those things go unnoticed by organizations today. And so despite the fact that we have amazing technology, it's not doing the job that we hoped it would because people and process are involved.
Now, for the people watching, you obviously want someone who's interested in cybersecurity to contact you. What's the procedure in terms of how long does it take? So let's say they reach out to you via the web or they call you. How long does it take once you're engaged to do something for them, and what does that look like in the real world?
Sure. So we are moving away from that thinking. So we are a managed security services provider, very different than the traditional. So we're not monitoring firewalls or syslog and what you think of as a traditional MSSP, but our risk assessments, our training, our penetration tests, our incident response, they're all designed to be delivered on a continuous basis. So from our perspective, security never stops, and so the engagement never stops. That said, the average risk assessment takes 45 to 60 days. A training program, generally you're planning out about a year.
Okay.
penetration test, 30 to 45 days.
Now, a lot of your customers probably have a managed security provider now, or they might. How do you interface?
Yep. And there's actually a great complement to what we provide with what they provide, because many organizations lack visibility into their infrastructure, their environment, their computing environment. So we take that information and we push that right back into the risk management function. So if we're seeing lots of anomalies and intrusions and things that we don't want to see on the network through the security monitoring, the MSSP that they currently have, we can take that information and really turn it into actionable, step-by-step risk management and risk reduction functions in their security program.
So you work with the MSP.
We work directly with them.
You kind of have a funnel from the MSP. Now, are there any political issues between the MSP and you guys? Like, do they ever get touchy about?
Not really. I mean, there are some MSSPs that are moving into consulting because I think they are starting to recognize that risk management truly is required. But generally speaking, they focus on their business, we focus on ours, and it's a great complement.
Are you nationwide, global?
We are nationwide, yeah.
Okay.
So we have clients in about 40 states today. We're doubling or tripling every year.
Okay.
We've just rolled out a partner program, which we'll announce on April 1st, so that we can work with other IT providers, legal, law firms, all sorts of companies. Yep.
Fantastic. So the last question is, what have we left out? What do the viewers need to know about you?
Well, I think what we've experienced from a cybersecurity standpoint, you asked yourself the question, well, how much did Target spend on cybersecurity? It's a big number. Why do we continue to see these breaches and headlines? And I think while companies are starting to spend more and more on cybersecurity, one of the problems is our adversaries are outpacing us. They're getting better faster than we are. But I think also all of that time, money, and energy is misdirected, and it's focused on hardware and what I tend to label as sort of technological snake oil. Really, we need to get to the root of this problem. If you think of, if most CIOs agree that people are the greatest risk, let's stop spending money on firewalls. Let's start spending money on training, education, testing, the things that are really going to affect those risks.
Makes sense. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. Thank you.